Welcome to Afterlife Café TV, connecting hearts, healing souls, and bridging worlds. I'm your host, Helen Peacock, and this is your sacred grounds, a warm, welcoming space where you're invited to take a seat, exhale, and just be. Each week, we will gather cafe style for heartfelt conversations, some mediumship, and maybe some intuitive insights and soulful storytelling that explore the afterlife, some healing, grieving, and the unbreakable bond between us and those in spirit. Here, laughter and tears are both welcome. Love transcends time, and spirit meets us in the most human of ways. So if you're seeking comfort, connection, or a deeper trust in your own inner knowing, you're in the right place. So pour yourself something warm and let's begin. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. And I'm really excited about my guest that I have today. She is a beautiful master energy healer who helps people heal trauma from their childhood stories to gain freedom from the past. She also guides people to rediscover their power, their sovereignty, and their original and authentic nature of peace, joy, and love, which I love. She is also an empath and an oracle and a certified high priestess. Her name is Nisha. She is a PhD from the University of Toronto and has been a professor at McMaster University and Wilfrid Laurier University. She also has an extensive training and expertise in energy medicine, Sikkim, Egyptian energy healing, not sure if I have pronounced that, with Akashic Records, love those as well, past life regression and hypnosis. And for the past 10 years, she has been helping clients break through stuck emotions, limiting beliefs, and harmful relationship patterns in her energy healing business. She goes by with her website, The Transformation Energy Healing, which we all need, I truly believe. And so I'd like to just start off with this show in regards to what if your life, how do I want to say this? What if your life in your living, right, has been shaped by the stories that were never truly yours? So I'd like to start off with that by asking Nisha. Welcome, Nisha.
Hey, how are you, Helen?
I'm good. I'm so excited to see you here. So excited.
Thank you. Great seeing you.
Yeah, it's been a while. So my question to you is, I don't want to dabble right into the whole energy yet. I want to hear about you because you're like one of the most smartest women on this planet that I know. Okay, there are a few, but I'm like, does this girl not know it? Like, what is there anything that she doesn't know? And very, very analytical as well as spiritual. So if you could just share with my audience, how did you go from this brain maniac to where you are now?
Oh my goodness. Well, there is a lot I don't know, but I'm going to speak about what I do know. So I would start by saying I've been sensing and reading energy deeply all of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being really young, knowing when a person's words and their smile on the outside didn't match, the intention and the truth and the actions, or what was on their inside, or the actions or behaviors on the outside. And so I could sense that inconsistency. And it was really confusing as a child. And damn, it's confusing as a grown up because as an adult, I started also paying attention to when that inconsistency was in me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I got invited to a party that by somebody who wasn't kind or didn't want to go to, my heart would say, "Ooh, this person hasn't been kind in the past." My gut would say, "Oh God, this is going to be stressful." My brain would say, "I'm not going to be safe." And my mouth would say, "Yeah, I'd love to come to that party." And my behavior would be, I'd show up at the party with a bottle of wine and two trays of, shrimp, whatever, because I was overgiving and I was people pleasing and I was placating in order to gain love and to gain safety and acceptance and belonging. because that's what you learn. That's what I learned. Those things, love was conditional. And so really I was looking at how I was programmed by those things, how it impacted me. Sorry, those things meaning the trauma from my childhood. We can talk about that afterwards, but we all carry it. We all have these things that harm us. And then we don't, say what's our truth. What we say is in order to be safe, in order to be loved. So the goal really is, what I want to call is to look at what I want to call pain energy, which is unhealed emotional trauma from the past. And the ultimate goal is to heal the programming, the survival, the coping, the self-abandonment, the disassociation, to
Mm-hmm.
have heart-brain coherence. And really for me, it's heart, brain, gut, words, all of those things and my actions, all of those things need to be in alignment and alignment with my truth, that whole being coherence, so that you can be in your most authentic expression of who you came down here to be, your original organic nature, which, as you started with, is feeling peace in your body, is
Mm-hmm.
feeling love for yourself, for, everybody else, and to feel that joy. And all of those things get lost when you've experienced trauma and difficulty and challenge.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. So do you find that you're still tapped into that? Like I know you said as a child, but even as going into adulthood, do you still sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's almost like, I can't help it and I'm not doing it on purpose, but I can tell the difference when someone's authentic, when someone's got love in their heart for me, or when someone is smiling and saying something, but they have some animosity or anger or some,
Mhm.
meanness or want to poke at me. I can feel that. And honestly, if all of us are paying attention, we all have the ability to feel that, that sensing or that knowing,
Mhm.
all about this. So it's like a muscle. You use it and it gets stronger.
You get stronger.
Use it, you lose it, right? Use it or lose it, right?
Use it or lose it. So whereabouts in your journey did you started to realize that this is something that you wanted to do, to expand on, to help others? When did you have your little wake up for that? Because we all have that little that little wake up. There's always something that pushes us and says, okay, I want to learn more about this. And I love what it's done for me. Can I help others feel the same for myself? When was that for you?
Honestly, it was when my 4-year-old said to me, I'm going through life, la la la, everything's lovely. When my 4-year-old said to me, Mom, he's just playing, and he says, Mom, why is that family member so mean to you? And I was in denial. I was pretending
Mm,
it wasn't the case. I was embarrassed because my 4-year-old was calling something out that I didn't want to look at. And so I sat with that for a long time and I thought, what is it about me or what have I done? Like, why is it that that person or those people treat me that way? Because I couldn't figure it out. And it really had nothing to do with anything I'd done.
mhm.
And we show up in a certain way. It's my energy. And so I did a deep dive into that. But even before that, I knew that there was something going on in my family that didn't feel good. Um, when I say family, I'm talking about my extended family circle. So it's quite a large circle, and I've got siblings, I've got 51 cousins, I've got second cousins, parents, aunts. So there is a big community, and this
Mhm.
is only a few people. This is only like a handful of people that I would say I have experienced harm or I felt harm from, and so on. So um, yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it does a little bit. I think you need to go a bit deeper because I know you can.
Okay, so I sat with that. I saw
Yeah,
the inconsistencies in my behavior.
yeah.
I was where I was doing things that didn't feel in alignment, that felt like um, it didn't feel good. You always know when something doesn't feel good in your body, pay attention
Hmm.
because, because there's wisdom in your body that's telling you this is not okay and you can trust that. And so for decades, I ignored it. And then when my son said that, I did that deep dive. And then I started going to these people very innocently saying, hey, so what is the issue between us? I'd love to resolve this. And I was met with denial, just like, gaslighting, you're crazy, ask everybody. And I'm like, and I'm not really crazy. So my heritage, my background, I come from a South Asian family, so I'm from India. And, like a lot of our cultures that are very traditional, I broke a lot of rules. They said girls had to do the cleaning, like starting way back. Girls could help with the cleaning and the cooking, and the boys could sit with their feet on the coffee table. And I'd be like the person that said, yeah, no, this is not okay. And I belly ached until there was a cleaning schedule. And of course, I became, poster child for
The
cultural.
black. So you were the black sheep of the family then.
Oh my God, yes. I used to consider myself the black sheep of the family and the scapegoat. And so I put the goats and the sheep aside, and I consider myself a cycle breaker. So there were so many of those things. And there are so
Yes.
many of us out there who don't know why it's so hard in our family. It's because you're not going to go along
Mm-hmm.
with the crap that everybody else seems to go along with. And so that's what happens. It wasn't just that. It was, can I go out? No, you can't go out. Can I hang out with girlfriends? No, you can't, because it was all of our cultural training. So anyways, all of these things, and they didn't make sense to me, and very painful, because you're not supported from above, from your family, your parents, your elders. You're not supported in your peer group,
Yeah.
in the larger extended family. And then you have these great friends who are like, you're amazing. What do you mean they say this about you? So it's confusing. It's really confusing, because you're like, am I okay? Like, is there something wrong with me? You go into this place of deep self-doubt. And
Yeah.
so you also operate from that self-doubt, where you're just like, someone says, oh, we missed the appointment. And I'll be like, oh, it must be my fault. It wasn't me. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me make it up to you. And it's like, I don't do that anymore. It's just like, it's always this survival programming that tells us how to behave and how to react and what to give and how much to give in order to be okay.
Yeah. I'm discovering, especially with my clients, I'm finding that more and more people are here, like around our age group. I'm really discovering that more and more people are here to break all those patterns from our ancestors. I truly believe that. Have you been finding that yourself?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the people who are here to be cycle breakers will know, because certain relationships don't feel right.
Hmm.
Um, they'll find themselves being always considered the problem, the issue, the crazy one. Oh, she did it this way. Oh, she's late for dinner because she doesn't care about the family. So there's all these
Yeah.
stories that get created in a certain way. And there are fingers, a lot of fingers that point at you.
Yeah.
And I'm finding the people who came down here to be cycle breakers, they came here because they're in that space, in that particular family relationship, whatever, because they do have the capability, they do have the light, they do have the ability, the capacity to feel everything, to feel all of the emotions that the other people in the group or the family or the community couldn't feel, or refuse to feel, or don't want to feel. Honestly, bad feelings, that's why people avoid them or in denial, because
Yeah.
they don't feel good. So the people who came down to be cycle breakers are the ones who are going to feel it, go through it, feel it deeply, alchemize it, move through it, transform it, and then come out on the end as this shining example of what it's like to be free of all that stuff. And then we're connected to the collective. And so it makes an impact on the collective and
Yes.
other people, where that information becomes present in the collective consciousness. And that's powerful, because all you have to do, all you're responsible for, is healing your own stuff, your own crap. And as you do, you lighten the burden of all of humanity little by little.
Hmm.
What happens when there's millions of us doing it, right?
The
And
ripple effect.
yeah, it shifts that. So that's how, yeah.
Yeah. And so in your tagline, right, where it says, what if the life you're living has been shaped by stories that were never truly yours? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sensing energy. And I would argue that every single one of us in our family situation, we're sensing, we're feeling, even if we don't have words for it, even if we don't call ourselves, an empath or a psychic, we still know that that person is being unkind. And we still know that person's smiling and being, lovely on the outside, but there's something there that just doesn't feel okay. And so you just asked me, how do you know
Whether basically it's the story that you're shaping is never really truly yours. We're living that. Most
right?
people are living that. And so where is it that you can say that it's never truly yours?
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Because, well, I found myself living in this circle of, extended family circle,
Mm-hmm.
and that person's issue, whether it's insecurity or lack of confidence, becomes my issue because they point their finger at me and it comes out as they're taking it out on me. That other person's issue of anger because they got treated a certain way in
Mm-hmm.
childhood, they point their finger at me. And I'll tell you, the person in the family that has the most light always is going to be triggering everybody else.
Yeah.
Therefore, always have that finger pointed at you. And then the person that's got, disappointment or sadness about things in their life that didn't work out, whether it's, your parents or your siblings or your cousins or whoever it is, they treat you in a certain way. Your
Mm-hmm.
energy triggers that and they treat you in a certain way. And when that happens, all of these things become your issue. All of these things, you have to now manage their story of disappointment.
If you choose that.
Yes, but when you're young, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
you have the choice.
True, very true.
When you're little, you don't understand sovereignty. You don't understand your power. And that, to me, that feels like that's the whole thing, is that we're here to learn about the power that we have, what it means to stand in our sovereignty, which is we get to choose, exactly like you said, Helen,
Mm-hmm.
we get to choose how we want to engage with that person who is pointing our finger and saying, oh, you think you're so great. Meanwhile, it's because they don't feel that they're great. So their stories, each of their stories, when we interact in relationship, becomes, something that we have to respond to as opposed to react. But something that then and honestly, in our families, in our situations that we find ourselves in, we're meant to have those challenging, difficult
I
situations
agree.
so that we can grow and
Mm-hmm.
evolve and be, do deeper work so that we could land where we can be who we actually are without self-doubt, without fear, without worrying about safety. And, it's pretty powerful
Mm-hmm.
when you get
So
it.
So in your work, can you describe how would you take someone? Do you bring them back to their childhood and get to the root of the issue and go from there to do the healing of this, of breaking the cycle?
Yes. So when I'm working with someone, it comes from the understanding that we're all multidimensional beings, right? So there's
Yes.
one aspect to us. So yes, I work with people in the present life trauma, but a lot of, the spiritual research suggests that from 0 to 6 is when the seeds are planted. And we see it like cycling and repeating throughout our lives, but 0 to 6 or 0 to now. So we work on the feelings that came up, the thoughts that keep repeating, the patterns that keep repeating. But then we also look at the
Mm-hmm.
storyline, the ancestral storyline, and it's being repeated, like whatever situation you find yourself in terms of families, being repeated because there's unresolved issues from above, from your ancestral
Yep.
lineage. Then there's also parental imprints, right? There's whatever your parents didn't resolve, and it doesn't matter if you have a strong, close relationship with your parents, or you don't have a relationship with your parents. It doesn't even matter if you have been taken away from your parents at birth. I've got, a story around that, but the imprints that were in the egg and the sperm before you became a little person, there's energy as information there, disappointment, anger, fear, trauma, whatever it is, that if they didn't resolve it in their lifetime, you inherit it, right? It becomes something that you,
Okay.
well, and then of course we look at past lives because
Mm-hmm.
there's information in the past life that's really useful, because then it makes sense of something that's happening now, and there are karmic issues that sometimes keep repeating, and understanding it and going back and healing that. And no, there isn't a time machine, but when you do past life work, you literally can do that. And I've had a lot of success with people who go, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Okay, just be quiet. We sit down and we do the work, and zoop, there they are. And
Yeah.
so there's that. And then, of course, our soul's journey. What is, what are we here to learn? What's our growth? What's the evolution we're here for? What is our
Hmm.
purpose? So, when I work with someone, it's an understanding that all of these components are part of who we are. And there's probably other stuff that, we're going to discover later also feeds into it. But those are like the main ones, right? And those are the main ones that how I understand
Hmm.
energy is impacted and created for ourselves as a whole being.
And as you're talking, it's like I'm just visualizing this one big onion with so many layers, right? That's just way out. There's just so many layers of different types of healing to do. And I am, like you mentioned, I'm a strong believer that we, the black sheep, whatever you want to call us, it's like, it is part of our soul contract, sorry. And we chose this life. We chose to go through these hardships and to do the healing, right? And so my question to you as well is when we're doing this, that's what we call energy work, is what does it really mean to heal your energy? So what does that look like to heal your energy?
Mhm. So there are so many different modalities to healing. And for me, and certainly in the work that I do, healing energy for me means going back to the experience of trauma. Now, this is not about
Mm-hmm.
re-traumatizing ourselves. If you survived it, you're well able to go back and examine it for the purpose of purifying it, alchemizing it, healing it, and transforming, the situation. But if you can go back to that moment of trauma, whether it's, whatever the experience is, and look at the emotions that you weren't able to feel because you didn't have the capacity. It could have been when you were two, could have been when you were
Yeah.
verbal, could have been when you were six and you didn't have the mental, capacity to understand and argue for yourself or, advocate for yourself. You go back to that moment of the trauma. What were the emotions? What were the thoughts? And, one of the things I talk about in my website is emotions create energy, or rather emotions impact energy. So we know energy can't be created or destroyed, but emotions, strong emotions, impact our already existing energy fields. And so when that happens, so say something happens, say, our dad comes home and he's had a hard day and we've colored a picture or something. We say, Daddy, this is for you. And we don't know what happened. Maybe his boss yelled at him. Maybe he got fired. Maybe he's just a grumpy guy. Who knows what happened? And he says, yeah, 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 whatever. And he pushes you aside or yells at you for having your shoes in the hallway, whatever it is. It feels like, oh, I feel bad. That doesn't feel like love. I did this beautiful thing. So whatever the emotion is, I mean, I'm giving you a light example.
Yeah.
We know what trauma is, right? It could be some major thing that happens. The strong emotions that came up, if they're not felt deeply and processed, they get stuck in our energy field. And so what healing looks like is going back to that moment in the trauma. And remember, we're multidimensional. So there very well may be a karmic component.
Mm-hmm.
There, and we talk about how we've chosen our parents and so on. There are relationship dynamics. There's a information, energy is information there that we are meant to move through. It could be an ancestral story that we need to, maybe they went through the same thing, maybe that father went through the same thing. So whatever the reasoning is, when we are able to access that information, access the emotional hurt, access the thought process that said, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not safe going to him. Oh, he's angry. Oh, it must be my fault. Access that, feel it and feel it deeply and completely. That emotion just naturally starts to clear.
Mm-hmm.
So as an energy healer, there's different modalities. I pull that energy out. I can feel in my body as an empath where that information that they're telling me about is stuck in their body. And so my body tells me, and I'm like, okay, tell me what's happening, in your throat right now. And they'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I didn't know what to say. So whatever that is, and we can process that, feel it, pull it out, alchemize it, transform it. And all of a sudden, it's something that you move through and it doesn't become an issue in the present time. So that's one way these things, can be healed. But there's all kinds of,
Yeah. Do you find there's a lot of people that are scared to go to the past to actually revisit whatever that may be that's holding them back? And if they are scared, what would you say to them?
yeah. So I am certain people have fear about going back into trauma, because why would you want to go back there? But what I would say is, you know, if you're at this stage where you're watching Helen's show and you come to an energy healer,
Hmm.
you are ready to transform something. You are ready to
I like that.
not be controlled by that fear, by
It's like
that
they're getting that nudge.
programming, yeah, by the survival instincts, by the, all of those things, the fears that tell you, oh, I got to behave in this way. So, yeah.
And can you do your work online or does it have to be in person?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? During COVID, whatever COVID, everything went online.
Yeah.
Found the connection was probably even cleaner because it's just energy. And
That's exactly
right,
what I say to my clients.
right, and we're not really focused on your hair and how are you doing, how's your sister, blah blah blah. It's a pure energy connection.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I get that from my clients. All, what's the difference between in person and Zoom? Nothing. There's a screen between us, and you don't get a hug at the end.
Yeah, you know, I also had a client who I only had seen her online, face to face. It was face to face, and then one day, she's a young person, early 20s, late teens, and she one day her phone capacity for FaceTime didn't work, so I said, let's just do this, just verbal, like just a call,
Yeah,
and I had been working with her for quite a while at that point, so there was no looking at each other. All of,
exactly.
all of a sudden, she was able to access in herself, because you're not being viewed, or
Yeah,
access in her self trauma that she couldn't even access before. And she disclosed, and I was just like, oh my goodness, you know what? Maybe this way of working is even better,
yeah,
because it's less about, yeah, it's less about everything out there. It's about,
yeah. No distractions, nothing. And I find when I do phone readings, the exact same thing. It's like you're blind, and it's like I don't know if there's more of a focus or you're just more tapped in. But yeah, so I'm happy to hear that you can receive clients and help them, via online. So my question is, I believe you have a little bit of an offer if anybody wants a discovery call. What was that again? Can you share?
yeah, what I was thinking is, if people want to, go to the phone and text and plan a discovery call, 15 minutes, to see if this work is right for you. And then I also get to understand where you're at and
Mm-hmm.
you're interested in, what you're looking for. For the first, so I will pick someone in the first week. Those people who send a discovery call, I will pick someone who will get a free 30-minute online session.
Ooh, lovely. That's such a beautiful offer. Thank you so much for that. And so how can my listeners and viewers contact you?
So text is always the easiest.
Okay.
There's my website, so it's www.transformation.earth. And if it doesn't come up, just put Nisha beside it, and it'll pop up.
Okay.
Or text the cell phone 647-991-1707.
Okay. I'm not
And
sure I put that in the show notes, so I apologize for that.
I mean, that's
So we'll
okay.
make sure we go there. And so is that like a business number, just to be
It is.
clear?
It
Okay,
is. Yeah.
perfect. Okay, I don't want you to be giving your home number.
No,
I don't think your husband would like that very much.
no, no.
Okay, my beautiful friend, thank you. So I know time just flies by, but I do would love to have you back, and because there's so much more to you that my viewers still don't know yet. And so would you be willing to come back and share more of you?
I would love that. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you so much, Nisha. And I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. We need more of you. Just keep being the beacon. And until next time, we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for tuning in to Afterlife Café TV, connecting hearts, healing souls, and bridging worlds. I'm Helen Peacock, and I am so grateful, yes, it makes my heart sing, that you chose to spend this time here with me. So to continue the connection, I do invite you to tune in to the Transformation. Talk Radio every Tuesday at 11 a.m. for new episodes. And you can also visit my website at helenpeacock.ca to find out more about my sessions, group readings, yes, even Zoom group readings, and perhaps some events I may be holding. And also, there will be a course on your psychic development, mediumship development, if you're interested in that. And just know that there are more ways to gather in our Sacred Grounds community, where you can also, again, find me at helenpeacock.ca. So, if this episode touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. It does help the space reach others who may need it too. So, until next time, trust the signs, stay curious, and remember, love never ends. It's just different.